Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's the sixth edition of On the Phone. We have an amazing guest with us today. Not only do I consider him a great friend, but I also consider him my brother. He's had a huge impact on the lives of thousands of real estate agents across the United States and Canada. And he's going to tell a very inspirational story today and show you that no matter what age you are, that you can make great things happen in your life. It's time to own the phone. Alrighty, welcome again to On the Phone. Our guest today is harder to pin down than a snake on the way to eat something. He is a busy man. So I am super excited to have Cliff Freeman join us today. Before we talk to Cliff, I want to give you a little background on Cliff. He's a Texas native. He actually grew up in the DFW area and graduated from Rice University in '81 and then got his MBA there back in '89. He's got over 30 plus years in the real estate experience in the real estate industry, with 11 of those years not just as an producing agent, but also as a coach and mentor. He's worked with over 500 of the top real estate agents and teams across the United States and Canada. Prior to his venture with EXP, he also had one of the top producing teams in DFW. He is a three-time award winner for the D Magazine Best Real Estate Team in the DFW area. He's also been recognized as a top agent through Top 8 Magazine in the DFW area. He's currently number 6 in revenue earnings out of 55,000 real estate agents in the EXP system, which he's only been in for, I think, a little over 4 years, correct? And currently has a little over 8,000 people in his organization. He's got a very strong producing group right here in the DFW area with a little over 40 agents. So fortunately, we still have some time to talk about what's going on today. So it's quite an impressive resume. Man, thanks for making some time for me today.
Well, thanks. I want to meet this guest, man. That was quite an intro.
Hey, listen, you know what? I searched the internet far and wide, and I've also written your biography about 10 times, so I'm pretty clear on what's going on.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, you and I go back a long way.
Yeah,
I got to mention that you said something about my age, or at any age, no matter what. I just promised that since you're going to talk about my age, I'm not going to talk about your youth and inexperience. How's that? Is that fair?
Or my weight. If we can avoid all three of those things, we'll be in good shape.
Okay.
You're not old. I just your story's inspiring. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you had, we're going to talk about it. You had a huge kick in the crotch at a later age than most people would like to have to. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm amazed at what you've done with it, and I just want to inspire people with it. So.
Well, it was a kick in the crotch, but it takes leather balls to play rugby, as we used to say.
Exactly. Or Alex Baldwin, brass balls, right? From Glengarry Glen Ross.
There you go. Perfect.
So let's do this. I've known you for 11 years, and I know your entire story, my entire story, but a lot of folks don't know how you arrived here. So, I mean, the first thing is just kind of tell us a little bit about your origin story, growing up in the DFW area. I know your parents both in the service. So why don't you kind of start there?
Well, so how I arrived here, let's see, there was this boat. I think it was called the Santa Maria.
You're not Italian or Spanish, no. No, sir.
Yeah, well, my growing up is, it was pretty middle class. It's not very exciting, although I did get to grow up with some really cool people, and my parents were wonderful parents, and they were modest, having grown up during the Depression, and it was sort of the grapes of wrath out in West Texas. And my dad was actually from Honey Grove, Texas, in East Texas, and my mom was from Idalou, which is right outside of Lubbock. And so they that whole generation was, we call that, my dad he was a little late for WW2, but he got into Korea, and we call that the greatest generation and stuff. So it was back when heroes were heroes. I had heroes, John Wayne, and people, and we didn't. The only way we knew when it was time to go home was when the sun went down. I mean, we just we didn't have phones, and I remember watching President Kennedy, the coverage of Walter Cronkite breaking in on CBS News on a black and white TV in my bedroom. saying that Kennedy had been shot and stuff. And so it was a whole different world. My parents drugged me. They drugged me every Sunday to church, and it was just a very, white picket fence, nice car in the yard, that type of thing growing up. Although I did get to go to St. Mark's. My parents busted their hump, make the tuition payments to get me in there. And I got to go 12 years. So I got to hang with some really cool people. And I think that helped a lot, in my kind of perspective on things. I also spent some time, doing some work in other areas, and I was in South Africa for a while. And, I think I probably had my first conscious thought, when I made that trip and saw how other people lived, and that kind of helped me understand the world. By the way, I'm just going to throw this out there, but have you read or listened to Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights?
No, I haven't.
Man. Oh, it's fantastic. So it reminded me a little bit, some of the things, like he was a foreign exchange student and I did my time in South Africa. But anyway, long story short, is you learn, once you get outside the hedges of your backyard, you really start to learn. So, I was able to develop, I think a little different perspective on life than a lot of my friends, who just spent all their time in Dallas and didn't really get a chance to, experience how the other world lives, the rest of the world. So anyway, I went on and went to Rice. That was, when I was in South Africa, that was a summer internship during my MBA. And there was a stint there. I mean, I was on the 10-year plan at college. It took me a while. My parents decided to get, of all things, divorced while I was a sophomore in college. And, I was an only child, so it didn't really set well with me. And my reaction was I was really angry, and I just kind of blew off the first semester of my junior year, got kicked out of school, and went to work in the bar and restaurant business. So I was a bartender, actually got a small bit piece in Urban Cowboy when that was filmed in Houston, and continued down that path, wound up running one of the largest nightclubs in Texas when I was 23, and just really trying to find myself and going from one place to another. And how Tony Robbins talks about the need for the human needs for attraction. It sort of evolves around Maslow's theory, but it's a little deeper than that. The need for association and things like that. And I was trying to find that. I felt like I had kind of lost things when my parents split up, lost a big part of my heart. So anyway, long story short, they wound up getting back together. I got my act together, got back into school, and finished, went right into B school, and the rest is history. I went to work for Kidder Peabody out of grad school. One of the kind of more notable things that we did was we were the firm that took CompUSA public. I was involved a little bit in getting that deal together. I knew the founders from Dallas. And long story, but anyway, I came back to Texas after New York and worked and did capital formation for companies, and we helped companies get access to the smaller boards, NASDAQ and over the counter markets and so forth. So I did that for a while, and along the way, I'd gotten my real estate license because my mom was a realtor. She was a realtor with Ebby Holiday, right? And if you're in this area, everybody knows Ebby Holiday. Bless her heart. If she were alive today, she'd probably be 106. I think she lived to be 104 or something, but it was incredible life she had. And she really, blazed the trail here in Dallas for women and women in real estate. And she, her firm is still very well known, Berkshire Hathaway bought them a while back. But my mom was a realtor there. And the only thing I really remember, Wally, this was so funny, is, St. Mark's was expensive. And, my parents lived, a very, kind of middle-class life. And I just remember her saying every time my tuition was due, she'd go, "Oh, got to go sell a house. Your tuition's due." I was like, "You got to do what?" And how does that work? You just turn on the faucet and all of a sudden money comes out. And so, back then we were all brought up in traditional, you go to work for a corporation. It's a life gig, right? You want to be there and build up a retirement, and that's the path. And I just could never figure out what my mom did, until I got into, out of the nest and into grad school. I studied entrepreneurship and in the MBA program at Rice, and really got to, have some fun with that. And I mean, real estate really is, it's the Wild West, man. It's like, it's the last place where you can go as an entrepreneur, and really without a lot of capital, without any capital to speak of, you can sell assets that you don't have to finance or own. You don't have to build them or create them. And these are the largest assets that most people will own in a lifetime. So the real estate business has a lot of leverage. It's a ton of leverage in real estate. But it's also very competitive, and you've really, and thank God for people like you that, I mean, I remember the day I walked in with Mike and Jay into your office at Kinder Reese. And I had done some coaching at Keller Williams as the productivity coach, but I'd never worked with anybody as good as you were. And you put me under your wing, and so did Mike and Jay. And I'm forever grateful what I learned working with you guys. But it was fun. I mean, I had a pretty good life, young and just really, I played a little bit of rugby in college, and I too, who was that guy that just got put up on the Supreme Court? The guy the last guy that got on there.
Not Kavanaugh.
Yeah, Kavanaugh. Yeah, I like to drink beer just like he did, and so college was a lot of rugby and beer and girls and stuff like that. But pretty normal upbringing, I'd say.
All right. Yeah. I one of the things I've always appreciated about you is the diversity of your background and your skill set, and you've really become a student of your craft, right? I mean, you worked in the loan industry. You taught classes for the real estate schools. You were a representative for the state, correct? For what is it, the Board of Realtors, or for the, I'm not sure, I forget what it was, you were state rep, right? Weren't you?
I was on the Texas Mortgage Fraud Task Force. I was actually on the Conventional Mortgage Finance Committee for National Association of Realtors. I was on the board of directors of DAMB. I've lobbied in Texas and in Washington a little bit, nothing heavy, but I've been up there and visited with our representatives. But yeah, it's fun. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think you have a really 360-degree view of the real estate industry, where you can add a lot of value at a number of different levels. And I think that's what has attracted people to you over, the many years that you've been in the business. And, when you came to work with us, it's not like you were some lump of clay. You know what I'm saying? You already had a tremendous skill. You already had a tremendous skill set and a tremendous amount of knowledge, and had sold a bunch of homes. So, I mean, I appreciate the kind words, but it's not like we took you, off the scrap heap and said, okay, let's see if we can't turn this guy into a coach. I mean, you were already well heeled in a lot of different areas. So, I mean, it's not, I appreciate the kind words. So let's, as we talked about before, the purpose of this call for me is obviously to get people to meet, super successful people that they may not have met before. And even though there's a lot of crossover in our groups, I still have people, that have not met you. But, we're going to talk about the amazing success you've created for yourself lately, and what you've done for yourself and the people that are aligned with you. But kind of interested in, the dip, what I'm saying, because there was a dip, and people need to know that a dip comes in life for everybody, and that you have a choice of what you're going to do when the dip comes. And irrespective of what age you are, the dip does not mean that life is over. You know what I'm saying? So I want you, if you could, just talk a little bit about, when that happened, about 12 years ago. Yeah, roughly.
Yeah. It's really funny. And, I have a podcast too, and I interview.
You're going to get to talk about that too. So I'm excited about that.
Some really high caliber people. And it's a study that I have, it's a continuing study that I have going on. And the study supports that most super successful people have been to a place in life that they never want to go back to. And they will fight, scratch, claw, do whatever it takes. They'll work 100 hours a week to never have to go back to that place in life. And, I think all of us at some point experience hitting rock bottom. And I'm going to add this because I think it's important. Some people need to hear this. I think God has a plan for you to hit rock bottom during your life at some point, so that you'll know who the rock at the bottom is and who you can stand on to get up and go take care of business. And that was a point in my life where, I got really, we get close to God, your maker. And it's wonderful to know that he's there to help you through times like that.
Mhm.
But just in a nutshell, just to describe the sort of circumstances, my parents were ailing. They were getting older. My dad passed away in '05, and from that point on, my mom was by herself. We had moved back, and I was in the middle of a really horrible divorce, and it was very contentious, finding a mercenary attorney on the other side, and just, I mean, it bankrupted us, totally sent us down the toilet. I was wound up. I had a house that I had to give back, and I wound up moving in with my mom to take care of her.
Mhm.
Because in her 80s, she was convalescing. She wasn't doing well. She just had kind of gotten to that part of her life where she needed constant care. And
Mhm.
so, and the two kids moved in with her. And, it was in the house where my dad had, overflowed the toilet, and there was no carpet in the room that we moved in. And it was a very dire situation. And because I was selling real estate and sort of doing loans at the time, Dodd-Frank happened, and I decided to, go real estate full time. But what I found was I needed to be, taking care of my mom and kids when I should have been out working with real estate clients. And so that's when I
Mhm.
kind of looked at coaching as an opportunity to get some steady income and to be able to maintain and manage my calendar a little better. And so that's what I did. I could actually do it from home
Mhm.
as well, which was really helpful. But there was a time there where, I mean, I had to buy my neighbor's used Ford Explorer. We called it the Exploder.
Exploder.
Uh,
Remember that? The
and
red
the
Exploder, right?
red Exploder. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Golly, man.
I do. Yep.
Yeah, and it was peanut butter and crackers. We used to love, the beef stroganoff, the hamburger helper. And
Yeah.
if my son's listening to this, I know he's probably licking his chops right now. But that was our one of our all-time favorite, dinners was the hamburger helper beef stroganoff. It's really good. And but we survived, and we kept, punching through. And when you're in a situation like that, you have no sense of time. And because everything is, all you're doing is focusing, what's on my thing to do next. I'm just,
Mhm.
I'm one thing at a time. I have no plan for the future. I'm worried about, okay, next thing is a meal. I've got to cook a meal for my mom and for the family. And then somebody's Caroline's go to soccer practice, or this or that or the other. And so you kind of just, your whole precepts, all your vision, or what you see around you, changes. It becomes uh, sort of like you're in this little time vacuum. It did for me. But I just knew that if I put my head down and I just kept, if I kept doing the right thing and developed some habits that I knew could lead me out of this, that eventually I'd be able to work my way out of it. So as you know,
And you
it
did.
happened and worked out. And I was able to, it was a struggle for 3 or 4 years there, but I was able to to get back and spend more time selling real estate. Unfortunately, my mom passed away in 2010. And again,
I
thank
remember
you
that.
for you when you came to the funeral. I remember you being there at Prestonwood.
Yep.
And but it was at that time where things started to change for me, because obviously I had my time freed up and stuff. So I got serious about coaching and selling real estate again, and started to build a business, and things were really on a good path. And
Mhm.
things were going great. We was with you and Mike and Jay for about 8 years, I guess.
Yep. Just
The
about 8, 9
transition
years. Yep.
into
Mhm.
Reese, NAEA.
Mhm.
Uh, and then I had joined Keller Williams uh, during part of that time in the beginning. And then I left to become an independent agent. And, one of the things that, if you recall, Wally, Commissions Inc. was kind of a big deal back then. Dwayne was just getting that rolling. And I think we sold about 600 platforms for him. And in real estate, I needed to generate leads, but I
Mhm.
couldn't get access to that because, like, Mike and Jay had the Dallas market and everything. And so I had to get creative, and I got a Real Geeks website and started doing pay-per-click for myself, and over time got really good at it. In fact, I had about 8 agents across the country who had hired me specifically to set up their internet lead generation. We had San Francisco, Seattle, Boise, Kalamazoo, Michigan. I can't even remember all the different places now, but that's kind of what I had become known for, was generating a lot of buyer leads, kind of a little bit like how Glenn Sanford got his, claim to fame in real estate. He was, one of the first to generate tons of leads on buyer IDX websites up in Washington State, where he was up there. So anyway, did that as an independent broker here in Dallas for a while. And Mike and Jay shut the coaching side of the program down to pursue partners and things like that. And I was really interested in continuing coaching. So I got plugged in with Lars Hedenborg, who used to be one of our clients at Kenner. In fact, I coached him. You and I did a little bit. I did a little bit. You coached him a lot more than I did, but back in 2010 or 11, something like that. And Lars was kind enough to offer me a spot on his team there. So I did that for about a year, and then got introduced through Brent Gove, another great friend of ours, to a little small, tiny brokerage that had 1,500 agents called eXp Realty. And that was at the end of 2016, just to fast forward a little bit. And it was that one decision and that one friend that I'll never forget. I'll be thankful and grateful for Brent for the rest of my life for taking the time to corner me in Dallas. He was actually there to see Mike and Jay, and Mike and Jay were busy, but he found me and told me about EXP. And for me, it was a perfect time. I was concerned about outliving my money, man. I told you I was flat ass broke just a few short years earlier. My biggest fear was I was going to repeat what my parents had done, and my kids were going to have to take care of me, and I was going to outlive my money. So by the grace of God and by the kind heart of Brent Gove, he explained the business model to me, and within 2 weeks, I was hook, line, and sinker all the way in, sold on it 100%. I vetted the leadership team and the business model and everything, and I was 1,000% behind it. So awesome. About a year later, I wore an EXP hat into one of Lars's intensive, and he fired me. And it was really funny. I say that I can laugh about it.
Did he really fire you?
Fired me because part of it was he was changing directions, but I walked in with an EXP hat and he said, "Take that fucking hat off." And I said, "Oh my gosh, okay." We had just played golf that morning and I was with my son, and he said, "EXP is the devil's work," and he'll tell you the same story. And it turns out that he's here with us at EXP now. He's come full circle, and he got rid of his scotoma, his blind spot, and now understands he's killing it here, just doing a great job. But we're so glad to be back, full circle, super good friends. I love him to death. He's like a brother. And
very good guy. Very good guy.
So that's in a nutshell. That's 20 minutes of my story.
No, this is why you're here. This is why you're here, because it's such an amazing story. I want to go back to one thing you said, which I think is super important. You're like, hey, I started focusing on what I had to do, right? There was no concept of time. I just did what I had to do every day, focus on what I had to do next. And then you said, and about 3 or 4 years later, right? 3 or 4 years later, you didn't just start focusing and results didn't start popping for you. You said 3 or 4 years later. I think that's key, right? That's an important aspect of this story right here, is that, even if you're because I've been to the bottom, I've been to the bottom. I've been to the bottom a few times, had to learn my lesson, but you have to realize that it's not going to just, the hockey stick isn't going to just come happen for you. You've got to really put your time and have faith that it's going to work out, and then not just put in the faith, but also the effort, So I thought that was an interesting distinction right there.
Yeah. It is, I love the Tony Robbins quote, people often overestimate how much they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year, something like that. And it does take that time. We were students of Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect. Atomic Habits is another great book on how important habits are. You have to be able to be consistent in life about things in order to get consistent outcomes. And
Right.
that's the problem that most people have. They'll try weight loss for 3 weeks and say, "Ah, shit, I only lost 3 pounds. It's not going to work for me. I'll try something else." And,
Mhm.
whereas if they really worked at it, and that's like in marketing or anything else, we call them campaigns because they're not, throw it at the wall and see if it sticks. That's not how it works. But, you've got to put a plan together that's going to, and realize it's going to take, time for
Mhm.
sure. Yeah.
And so what I see in you is a tremendous amount of gratitude for what's happened in your life, not just for the things that were challenging, but also for the great things. And the way I think you represent it two ways is, number one is that you work as hard as anybody I know every day. And if you wanted to, you could take some time off and your lifestyle wouldn't change. You work as hard as anybody I know on a day-over-day basis. And not just for yourself, but to help other people as well. A lot of what you do is to help other people, right? But that's the other thing, you're a pay it forward kind of guy. I mean, you over deliver, you over deliver in helping people and putting people in positions to succeed. And so, I think that shows the gratitude for not just what you have now, but for, the path you've taken and how it's impacted your life, so I really recognize that in you.
Can I tell you real quick where that came from?
Yeah, please do.
Zig Ziglar used to sit on
Zing.
the second row. Now, I read his books long before I met him in church, but he handed me a rock one time that had the word gratitude written on it. And he said, "I want you to carry this around and keep it in your pocket. And whenever you feel fear or something like that, or something's not going right, I want you to pull that rock out and
Mhm.
about some of the things that you're grateful for."
I love that.
And it was, because being grateful will overcome fear every time. And the
Agreed.
second thing, he said, I work hard. The second thing he told me was, he said, Cliff, he said, it's better to wear out than it is to rust out. Okay.
Oh, right. I like that.
And I always took it to
Yep.
heart. That's what we tell people getting in the real estate business: work harder than anybody else does now so that you can live like nobody else does later. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a Neil Young reference, right? It's better to burn out than to fade away. Right. So let's talk about
Amen.
this. Yep. Right. True. So you hear, when it comes to, speaking about people who have served the country, you heard about, like freedom is not free, right? Lives are spent, are given so that people can have their freedom. But, you talk about the three freedoms: time freedom, money freedom, and location freedom. And those freedoms aren't free either. They come at an extremely high cost. They're well worth it. And you have time freedom, money freedom, and location freedom. I mean, you live it, what I'm saying? But it was not free. Getting there has taken you a significant amount of time. So can you talk just a little bit about overcoming obstacles and then why you'd want to, and what it looks like to get into time freedom, money freedom, and location freedom, please?
Yeah, and I guess everybody has their own definition of success, but for
Right.
me, that really was what was important. And I think you nailed it when you said that none of that comes without a cost, and that
Mhm.
that goes back to the service that the people that died for our country, all the
Right.
way to how hard we have to work. A lot of people look at entrepreneurs that have made it, and they see the G wagons and the houses and the lifestyle and all that kind of thing, and they're jealous, and they think that was just, they got lucky. But behind that entrepreneur is 1,000 mistakes they made. They've been broke. The average self-made millionaire has been broke 7 times. I mean, it is a battle
Mhm.
to get to where you are, and we make it look easy, and it's because you don't read news coverage about the failures. All you read about are the successes. And so, you read about the tip of the iceberg, when the iceberg that's underwater, all of the struggle, the hardship, the broken
Right.
hearts, families, wallets, I mean, you name it, that it took to get there. That's what you really don't hear about. And, it is. And I think as soon as you can begin to understand that it's, the money in your bank account is a measure of how well you serve other people. I
Mm.
think that is the key, that you've got to get that straight in your head before you're really going to understand how to become, wealthy, because that's really what it's all about. And it took me a while. I mean, listen, we all grow up a little self-centered, but it wasn't until that I realized that it's the old Zig Ziglar thing. I hate to use, this is almost colloquial,
I
but
love Zig. I'm a huge Zig fan. Zig
Zig,
it up.
you can get anything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want. And, so much of what he said was true. And, I kept hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. And then, I started to really believe in it. And I think that's what, gave me the perseverance, the strength to push through, the times when most people would give up. And you know how it is when we coach people. We talk about people swimming halfway across to the English Channel and then turning around and swimming back. Well, why the heck stop? You're halfway there, right?
Right.
But it's that whole, just that mindset of being of contribution, and also a mindset of abundance. People run around with a mindset of scarcity. And they're afraid that there's not enough sand on the beach. Therefore, they don't want to go to the beach. They're afraid the beaches are going to run out of sand or something. And, it's just one of those things where, that 5.5 inches between your ears, once you get that under control, it's amazing what you can do.
I think for you, it's 6 inches because you've got a much bigger brain than I do. I think for me, no, it's like your brain is bigger than mine. We've talked about this before. My brain would roll around in your head because you've got a much bigger brain. So, so obviously, just to kind of put a bow on that, time freedom is being able to use your time any way you want to. Money freedom is having the money to do whatever you want to do, or wherever you want to do it, and not have to worry about how it's going to impact your financial situation. And then, location freedom means if you want to, you can work from Mars. Right? I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
That's really it. And with the advent of the internet and we just have this country is wonderful. It gives us so many opportunities, and it's a shame. It breaks my heart that people fail. One of the benefits of going and living and staying in Soweto, or going to Crossroads outside of Cape Town and seeing people live in squalor, one of the things you realize is that they can still find joy in life, even without all the crap that we have, the noise that we have in our lives. Yet you can come over here to this first world country and see people bitch and complain because they don't have the new phone. They're not getting enough likes on Facebook and stuff like that. I mean, we have a sickness in our country here that I think, and my dad was a smart guy, and what he said about that is he said, forget the service. He said, everybody needs to spend 2 years in the Peace Corps between
that'll show you,
to really see how the rest of the world lives, and that'll put it in perspective for you. But I think that if you don't get out and see how the rest of the world lives, you'll really never appreciate it, how damn good we have it over here.
Even if you don't have it that damn good, you still have it damn good comparatively.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
You got a roof over your head, water. you got a lot of other people.
Drinking water. For sure.
Literally. Yeah, potable water. So real quickly, tell people where they can find you.
I'd love to meet anybody on the show who's, wants to, ask me a question. My email address is just Cliff at the URL that's scrolling down below, cliff@cliffordfreeman.com. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. My phone doesn't get answered very often, but I always check. I'm in a position to check emails and stuff. So you can also hit me up on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or, any of the other, social media channels. Would love to chat.
Cool. Give us a 30-second commercial on Cliff's Notes, because it's been around for a little over 2 years now, right?
Yeah, we're about to hit our 100th episode, Wally, and you've been on a couple times to help us with that, and really appreciate that. You always come delivering the fire, man. It's time to get you back on again. It's been what, 3 months, I think, or 4, maybe a little longer, but
December, I think.
Yeah, Cliff's Notes. I wanted to create something that would be able to help agents who didn't have the benefit of some of the great mentors that I've had. And if you look at the guest list that's been on my show, I've had some of the top agents and mentors
Mhm.
in real estate in the US and Canada. And my only ask of guests when they come on is, can you please I want you to drop some value on our audience. I want you to leave a big fat nugget, for people when you come on the show, and we can basically talk about whatever you want to talk about. But let's make sure that we're reaching the audience and giving them, whether it's encouragement or a tip or a trick or tactic or something or a strategy that they can implement in their business. And I didn't plan it for it to be nation or a big big thing like. Some of the other guys that I follow, the bigger coaches, Ricky Carruth and Brian Casella, some of those people have hundreds of thousands of followers. Mine's just
Right.
very, we don't boost it. It's all organic. And I'm just very thankful that, I've been able to have some of the incredible people on the show that I have. And I love it. I have fun doing it. And as long as people are watching it, I'm going to, hang in there and do it for as long as I can.
Yeah, it's incredibly high production value. Every guest that comes, and whether you're a real estate agent or not, there's a tremendous amount of just entrepreneurial value in general. It doesn't have to be a real estate agent to appreciate a lot of the stuff that people share. I think a lot of the messages, will cross a variety of different industries, and it's good entertainment value. You always get a couple of good laughs when Coach Cliff is there. He always tries to keep it light when he can, and C3 there is with you. He's your straight guy, right? He's a straight man. So yeah, exactly. And so the place to find that is probably on Cliff's Notes on YouTube, on Facebook.
Yeah, you can just Google it, Cliff's Notes Real Estate Podcast. But I'm super excited. You started your podcast actually since you were on our show last time, and I've seen your show, man, and I'm just really proud of you. For starting this. And one of the things that you work directly with our real estate team here in Dallas, and you continue to do an amazing job of helping people become friends with the phone instead of it weighing 1,000 pounds. And you really are such a master of helping people get their mindset under control and defeat those things in their subconscious and even in their conscious that they tell themselves that they can't do. I mean, you've worked with a lot of people. I mean, I guess if we were to, make a list of the people that you have changed, and you got, if you got a 10 cents on every dollar they made, you'd be one of the richest guys in the world, because you sincerely have helped people turn around and just do amazing things with just a telephone. It's crazy.
Wow, thank you so much, and I feel much the same about you. Thank you so much. It's like this has been a production of the Mutual Admiration Society. Thank you. So no, I appreciate that. So listen, speaking of dropping nuggets, I mean, you gave a tremendous number of nuggets for the soul, for the heart, for the mind today, for people to take back and take for checking and look at what they're doing. And I'm hoping just one person today who was having a tough time heard your story and decided that they weren't going to let it keep them where they are today, and then they were going to continue to move forward. This will be on Facebook and YouTube and on Apple and some other places. So hopefully we'll be able to change some lives with what you shared. So I love you. I'm super grateful for you. Thank you so much for joining me today. You have anything else you want to add?
Just that God is good, and it's funny because 10 years ago when I first met you, actually 12 years ago, I guess, or maybe 15. I would have never guessed what the road would have been like, for the following for the next 15 years. But I'm so grateful that we're all of us are back together again. We're all, on the same team again. And my gosh, are we creating something that is just bigger than everything else we've ever done? And it's just very proud of what you're doing, Wally, and how you're leading people, to places that they've never been before. And I thank you for being who you are, and glad to be in business with you, man.
Likewise, I thank you. And we're definitely changing some lives. All right, folks, that's Cliff Freeman. I'm Wally Bressler. This has been On the Phone. Hey there, this is Wally Bressler, and on behalf of my guest today, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this episode of On the Phone. If you'd like more information on how to overcome sales call reluctance, procrastination, and self-sabotage, and become an expert on the phone, go to www.phonesalessecrets.com. And if you'd like my free course on how to overcome sales call reluctance, please go to www.phonesales